that enrich human resources and facilitate the development of institutions. We move technology forward through adoption, transfer, and commercialization of available technologies. We ensure timely and effective delivery of research results. The Council encompasses sectors under these priority areas. And all of these are backed by a highly skilled and science technology workforce for quality technologies and innovations. We are driven in bringing homegrown science and technology to the fore of the competitive global arena, creating impact on the country's progress and improving the quality of life of every Filipino. We uplift lives through innovations. Be assured, we are the Innovation Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technologies.
Wait lang, kunin ko na yung charger na 'to. Ang la
Research not communicated is research not done.
The Innovation Council and the University of the Philippines Los Baños College of Development Communication has launched the Science Communication Fellowship Program, popularizing research for the people. The program will empower 40 scientists, researchers, and communication specialists to better promote their innovations and research results to the public.
The fellowship program is composed of a series of mentoring activities that will introduce the concepts of science communication, popularization techniques, and skills in developing communications materials. Aspiring Pinoy science communicators should be part of an ongoing PCIEERD-supported project with a remaining duration of at least 6 months. Researchers from completed projects may join, provided that the project is still being sustained in their organization. To be one of the 40 SciComm program trainees, visit this link, fill it out, and submit the following documents until July 29, 2021. Applications will be evaluated through the quality of their capstone projects, guided by these criteria. Number 1, innovativeness, 30%. Number 2, feasibility, 20%. Number 3, impact, 25%. And number 4, sustainability, 25%.
Ready to optimize your science communication skills? Join the DOST PCIEERD Science Communications Fellowship Program to reach and educate more Filipinos.
COVID-19 has shined the light on the importance of science, technology, innovation experts, and researchers in the Philippines, as they were amongst crucial frontliners tapped to aid in the country's fight against the pandemic. Most of these experts helped the country through game-changing programs, projects, and initiatives of the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST. To ensure that the DOST continues to arm experts and enrich the country's S&T human resource, it crafted the DOST Science and Technology Fellows Program.
The DOST S&T Fellows Program aims to engage S&T experts to craft and shepherd R&D roadmaps for sectoral planning councils and strengthen the capabilities of the department's research and development institutes.
S&T Fellows will direct, undertake, and promote R&D in the country that will spur socioeconomic, health, and nutritional growth, as well as speed up inclusive growth and development in the countryside through state-of-the-art innovations. They will be the pathfinders that chart roadmaps of the sectors they are assigned to. As an S&T Fellow, they will help the DOST in identifying cutting-edge research, bringing Philippine innovations to the next level. The S&T Fellow must, number 1, be a Filipino citizen not more than 60 years of age. Number 2, be a career service professional. Number 3, be organized and a good team player. Number 4, have excellent written and oral communication skills, with a capacity for simplifying complex ideas and concepts for the understanding of various stakeholders. And number 5, have an outstanding contribution in their field of specialization. Read the full list of qualifications and application requirements through the link displayed on the screen.
Be an S&T Fellow and champion DOST's goal to empower and upgrade the Philippines' capabilities in science and technology.
For research and development, or R&D, to flourish, we need to help emerging industries, identifying their potential niche, address industry gaps, and confront challenges as well as R&D needs to enable them to engage the industry leaders in their region.
The Innovation Council is now launching the Expert Intervention for Scientific Engagement, or the Expertise Program, to bolster R&D and strengthen relationships of our existing consortia, researchers with industries and professionals in the region. Generally, the project aims to bridge the gap between the expectations of the industry and the researchers to develop research in addressing identified gaps through science, technology, and innovation.
Specifically, the project aims to: number 1, provide awareness on business realities. Number 2, link regional experts and industries. Number 3, perform research and development, or R&D, to address the gaps in the industry. We encourage all applicants to submit their proposals through the DOST e-proposals portal next year or for 2022.
Engage with us and let us bring more scientific outputs for the benefit of all Filipinos.
Get an advanced degree and research experience for free. Be a PCIEERD scholar.
Don't miss this opportunity to become a graduate researcher of the DOST PCIEERD Prosper, for providing resources, opportunities, and support for project-based personnel and researchers.
This program offers scholarship and financial grant for project personnel of PCIEERD-supported and monitored projects for the completion of their graduate degrees while gaining research experience in the said projects. On top of tuition and other school fees, monthly stipend, book allowance, transportation allowance, thesis allowance, and group insurance, Prosper grantees will also receive a maximum research grant of up to 500,000 pesos. Any Filipino, public or private entity with proven competence may apply for capability development support of DOST PCIEERD, provided that it falls under the PCIEERD priority areas of concern. Submit your requirements, and we will be very glad to assist you. Send in your proposals via the DOST Project Management Information System or DPMIS website starting July 7 until August 6, 2021.
Be one of us in making innovation work for the people.
For further inquiries, contact PCIEERD Human Resource and Institution Development Division or HRIDD at +632-837-2071-82, local 2102, or send an email to mbsantos@pcieerd.dost.gov.ph.
Innovation has become a necessity in our life. Intertwined with the fabric of modern lifestyle, innovation is an inevitable ingredient in modern society. Whether it is transportation, telecommunications, healthcare, security, education, almost every segment of society thrives from innovation. And to consolidate, coordinate, and orchestrate effectively these innovations, we need smart governance. Now in its 9th year, the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, or DOST PCIEERD, is putting the spotlight on innovations in smart governance. With the government's thrust on transparency and accountability, DOST PCIEERD is introducing a wide variety of technological innovations that guarantee a more efficient way of serving the people. On transportation, the contactless apprehension for traffic violations or catch-all project seeks to ease traffic congestion through an AI-enabled software that monitors, detects, and reports traffic violators on the road. The Local Traffic Simulator, or Local Sim, meanwhile gives road and traffic engineers more room to breathe with a decision support system for traffic simulation and management. The UP Smart Bike Sharing System allows registered students to borrow bicycles which they can use to move around the vast campus of UP Diliman. Charging electronic tricycles and other electronic vehicles are now much more convenient through the development of the Rapid Charging E-Vehicle Station, or CHARM, that replenishes their energy the quickest way possible.
The hybrid electric train, a locomotive that runs on a diesel generator and electric batteries. The hybrid electric train addresses transportation problems in the country by providing a safe, reliable, and more convenient mass transportation system. On environmental protection, groundwater monitoring has been modernized through automated and real-time monitoring. Through various sensors, data logging, and telemetry equipment, the local government units can now effectively manage their groundwater reservoir. Concentrations as well as contaminants and heavy metals in Laguna Lake are now closely monitored. The synergistic capacity advancement of Laguna Lake program enables government agencies and local government units to get updated and relevant data on the Laguna Lake and on how it could affect the surrounding community. Effective water resource management has been enabled with PCIEERD's multi-platform and cross-sensor water quality monitoring. The system enables water quality mapping and assessment by the use of satellites and unmanned aerial systems. On housing and infrastructure, maintaining structural integrity for buildings and bridges has been made easier through the Universal Structural Health Evaluation and Recording, or USHR system. The USHR system provides sensors to assess structural damages immediately after earthquakes. PCIEERD also created the Human Settlements Development Model that formulates a platform or software on how settlements develop and to name potential new growth areas in the country based from identified growth drivers that subsequently projects the corresponding housing requirements. On disaster risk reduction, local government units in the Zamboanga Peninsula are quickly informed of impending floods through the automated water level monitoring using real-time observation or Alerto system. The system monitors critical water levels and rain data on rivers and interprets it into categories of high, medium, and low. The Remote Sensing and Data Science, or DATOS Help Desk, meanwhile provides maps and other information for disaster risk reduction applications through the use of computing technology advancements that puts forward an advanced, quick, and reliable overall disaster management system for Filipinos. Locating and identifying air, sea, and land vehicles to as much as 33 kilometers away is now possible through the Futuristic Aviation and Maritime Enterprise Incorporated, or FAME. FAME produces a system of transponders that monitors general aviation aircrafts and small boats in real time by the use of long-range tracking devices. The Local Automatic Identification System, or AIS, is a low-cost locator intended for domestic ships 300 GT and higher. On education, 21st Century Learning modernizes classrooms, equipping them with facilities designed for mobility and connectivity to promote collaborative teaching and learning that supports student-centered active learning. With a mobile app, residents are immediately alerted if there's fire in their home through the fire luminosity and multi-sensory equipment, or FLAME. On food safety, the grading system for food service establishments is an inspection and grading system that equips sanitary inspectors in determining compliance and frequency of monitoring of commissaries.
Fueled with a determination to bring innovation into local governance, the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development is driven to take the lead in enabling technologies towards smart governance. We are committed to make the lives of Filipinos more efficient, smarter, and happier through science, technology, and innovation.
With the continuing rise of modern technology, smart governance can build on the foundation laid by the principles of good governance. DOST PCIEERD will continue in its quest of bringing smart governance closer to the people. PCIEERD, enabling technologies towards smart governance.
We are the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technology Research and Development, or PCIEERD, one of the sectoral councils under the Department of Science and Technology. We are all about innovation and progress. We lead and partner with public and private institutions in generating science and technology policies, strategies, and technologies that spur national economic development. We formulate policies and strategies for scientific and technological directions. We fund and support R&D efforts in the industry, energy, and emerging technology sectors. We provide opportunities that enrich human resources and facilitate the development of institutions. We move technology forward through adoption, transfer, and commercialization of available technologies. We ensure timely and effective delivery of research results. The Council encompasses sectors under these priority areas. And all of these are backed by a highly skilled and science technology workforce for quality technologies and innovations. We are driven in bringing homegrown science and technology to the fore of the competitive global arena, creating impact on the country's progress and improving the quality of life of every Filipino. We uplift lives through innovations. PCIEERD. We are the Innovation Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technologies.
Research not communicated is research not done.
The Innovation Council and the University of the Philippines Los Baños College of Development Communication has launched the Science Communication Fellowship Program, popularizing research for the people. The program will empower 40 scientists, researchers, and communication specialists to better promote their innovations and research results to the public.
The fellowship program is composed of a series of mentoring activities that will introduce the concepts of science communication, popularization techniques, and skills in developing communications materials. Aspiring Pinoy science communicators should be part of an ongoing PCIEERD-supported project with a remaining duration of at least 6 months. Researchers from completed projects may join, provided that the project is still being sustained in their organization. To be one of the 40 SciComm program trainees, visit this link, fill it out, and submit the following documents until July 29, 2021. Applications will be evaluated through the quality of their capstone projects, guided by these criteria. Number 1, innovativeness, 30%. Number 2, feasibility, 20%. Number 3, impact, 25%. And number 4, sustainability, 25%.
Ready to optimize your science communication skills? Join the DOST PCIEERD Science Communications Fellowship Program to reach and educate more Filipinos.
Get an advanced degree and research experience for free. Be a PCIEERD scholar.
Don't miss this opportunity to become a graduate researcher of the DOST PCIEERD Prosper, for providing resources, opportunities, and support for project-based personnel and researchers.
This program offers scholarship and financial grant for project personnel of PCIEERD-supported and monitored projects for the completion of their graduate degrees while gaining research experience in the said projects. On top of tuition and other school fees, monthly stipend, book allowance, transportation allowance, thesis allowance, and group insurance, Prosper grantees will also receive a maximum research grant of up to 500,000 pesos. Any Filipino, public or private entity with proven competence may apply for capability development support of DOST PCIEERD, provided that it falls under the PCIEERD priority areas of concern. Submit your requirements, and we will be very glad to assist you. Send in your proposals via the DOST Project Management Information System or DPMIS website, starting July 7 until August 6, 2021.
Be one of us in making innovation work for the people.
For further inquiries, contact PCIEERD Human Resource and Institution Development Division or HRIDD at +632-837-2071-82, local 2102, or send an email to mbsantos@pcieerd.dost.gov.ph. COVID-19 has shined the light on the importance of science, technology, innovation experts, and researchers in the Philippines, as they were amongst crucial frontliners tapped to aid in the country's fight against the pandemic. Most of these experts helped the country through game-changing programs, projects, and initiatives of the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST. To ensure that the DOST continues to arm experts and enrich the country's S&T human resource, it crafted the DOST Science and Technology Fellows Program.
The DOST S&T Fellows Program aims to engage S&T experts to craft and shepherd R&D roadmaps for sectoral planning councils and strengthen the capabilities of the department's research and development institutes.
S&T Fellows will direct, undertake, and promote R&D in the country that will spur socioeconomic, health, and nutritional growth, as well as speed up inclusive growth and development in the countryside through state-of-the-art innovations. They will be the pathfinders that chart roadmaps of the sectors they are assigned to. As an S&T Fellow, they will help the DOST in identifying cutting-edge research, bringing Philippine innovations to the next level. The S&T Fellow must, number 1, be a Filipino citizen not more than 60 years of age. Number 2, be a career service professional. Number 3, be organized and a good team player. Number 4, have excellent written and oral communication skills, with a capacity for simplifying complex ideas and concepts for the understanding of various stakeholders. And number 5, have an outstanding contribution in their field of specialization. Read the full list of qualifications and application requirements through the link displayed on the screen.
Be an S&T Fellow and champion DOST's goal to empower and upgrade the Philippines' capabilities in science and technology.
Innovation has become a necessity in our life. Intertwined with the fabric of modern lifestyle, innovation is an inevitable ingredient in modern society. Whether it is transportation, telecommunications, healthcare, security, education, almost every segment of society thrives from innovation. And to consolidate, coordinate, and orchestrate effectively these innovations, we need smart governance. Now in its 9th year, the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, or DOST PCIEERD, is putting the spotlight on innovations in smart governance. With the government's thrust on transparency and accountability, DOST PCIEERD is introducing a wide variety of technological innovations that guarantee a more efficient way of serving the people. On transportation, the contactless apprehension for traffic violations or catch-all project seeks to ease traffic congestion through an AI-enabled software that monitors, detects, and reports traffic violators on the road. The Local Traffic Simulator, or Local Sim, meanwhile gives road and traffic engineers more room to breathe with a decision support system for traffic simulation and management. The UP Smart Bike Sharing System allows registered students to borrow bicycles which they can use to move around the vast campus of UP Diliman. Charging electronic tricycles and other electronic vehicles are now much more convenient through the development of the Rapid Charging E-Vehicle Station, or CHARM, that replenishes their energy the quickest way possible. The hybrid electric train, a locomotive that runs on a diesel generator and electric batteries. The hybrid electric train addresses transportation problems in the country by providing a safe, reliable, and more convenient mass transportation system. On environmental protection, groundwater monitoring has been modernized through automated and real-time monitoring. Through various sensors, data logging, and telemetry equipment, the local government units can now effectively manage their groundwater reservoir. Concentrations as well as contaminants and heavy metals in Laguna Lake are now closely monitored. The synergistic capacity advancement of Laguna Lake program enables government agencies and local government units to get updated and relevant data on the Laguna Lake and on how it could affect the surrounding community. Effective water resource management has been enabled with PCIEERD's multi-platform and cross-sensor water quality monitoring. The system enables water quality mapping and assessment by the use of satellites and unmanned aerial systems. On housing and infrastructure, maintaining structural integrity for buildings and bridges has been made easier through the Universal Structural Health Evaluation and Recording, or USHR system. The USHR system provides sensors to assess structural damages immediately after earthquakes. PCIEERD also created the Human Settlements Development Model that formulates a platform or software on how settlements develop and to name potential new growth areas in the country based from identified growth drivers that subsequently projects the corresponding housing requirements. On disaster risk reduction, local government units in the Zamboanga Peninsula are quickly informed of impending floods through the automated water level monitoring using real-time observation or Alerto system. The system monitors critical water levels and rain data on rivers and interprets it into categories of high, medium, and low. The Remote Sensing and Data Science, or DOST Help Desk, meanwhile provides maps and other information for disaster risk reduction applications through the use of computing technology advancements that puts forward an advanced, quick, and reliable overall disaster
can see you in all the lovely things so fine and true. I see you in the beauty of the flowers and the rain. I see you between the lines of a sweet refrain. I'm so blessed, my Lord, I can see you. Even when I'm lonely and in pain, I see you in the beauty of the stars at night. I see you in my life, I feel alright. I see you, Lord, in sorrow and in happiness. I see you in the glory of sweet success. I see you, Lord, every hour, every day. I can see you, Lord, whenever I pray.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Ang siyensya ay sa scientific expertise in decision-making contexts.
Mitigation, light ranging, and detection technology, or DREAM LiDAR, which addressed and helped mitigate the effects of flooding disasters in the country by producing accurate national terrain, elevation maps, and training highly skilled LiDAR and flood mapping experts, all
Those project leaders may be familiar already with the way how we now evaluate your projects in terms of your accomplishments and your utilization of your budget. Second, of course, is our CBOL, right? Which actually celebrates the launch of your new projects for 2022. So this year, we focus our theme on empowering the Filipinos through innovative engagement, which seeks to highlight the role of public engagement in charting the course of science, technology, and innovation in the country. But let me share for those who are uninitiated or who might want to take a refresher of what we are and what we do. The DOST PCIEERD is, of course, the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technology Research and Development. It is one of the 3 sectoral planning councils of DOST, which serves as the central agency in the formulation of plans, policies, and programs, as well as in the implementation of strategies in the industry, energy, and emerging technology sectors through several S&T programs. To enrich these sectors, you see in the slide, this is our fivefold mandate. Next slide, please. That captures the entire roster of programs and projects. We provide, of course, support for research and development. We're mainly known as a funding agency that supports the research and development projects. Of course, we encourage Filipinos to become more productive by providing support for also disseminating the research outputs and establishing laboratories in research institutions. No, research and development does not happen by accident. So we also have to provide support for institutions to develop their R&D capabilities. Of course, as part of our outreach to communities as well as to the public, we disseminate and provide access to information and research results as a way of steering also public opinion towards the adoption, acceptance, and advocacy of the research products and services that our researchers have created. We also accelerate the transfer and commercialization of technologies generated by DOST PCIEERD or DOST supported projects. So as you know, because of the passage of the Republic Act 11337 of the Innovative Startup Act, we have started, in fact, as early as last year or even years before that, to support startup activities and the innovation ecosystem development that they, of course, are in. Lastly, we are also into policy formulation and policy development. This means that we provide legislative agenda to our legislators, key policies, standards, and regulations in line, of course, with the development of our priority sectors. On screen, you actually will see the history of a very brief history of DOST and PCIEERD support for research and development through 11 or 12 years of its existence. So you'll see here that we have fostered about 4,000 programs and projects since the marriage of the single PCIEERD and PCASTERD in 2010. So from the vastness of space to the minute world of nanomaterials, these initiatives have reached the farthest corners of the country that is changing lives of Filipinos. For 2021, these are the notable accomplishments out of the budget that has been support that has been given to us. We have managed to put out 106 completed projects in 2021. 36 of them are in fact COVID-19 related as part of our response measures coming from the S&T community. 94 have been funded and over 100 are continuously being monitored through our system of monitoring and evaluation. 2021 is a monster year for us, no? Because we had to go through your 940 proposals and only pick maybe 10% of that. So that's how excruciating it was for us. It was also a moment for us to bring about 183 project leaders, engaging 63 higher educational institutions, both from the public and private sector. And of course, it's not just us as from DOST as research and development institutions, from HEIs, but also national government agencies which have capable R&D facilities that also provide engage us in research projects and initiatives. We also have 7 international cooperations. Some of you are actually cooperators of our research projects with the different research councils and funders all over the globe. But with the myriad of projects, events, and activities that we conduct and support, how do we then ensure that the public is aware or even involved and engaged in the various accomplishments and breakthroughs and discoveries that we have at PCIEERD? We turn our eyes then on our initiatives that touch the hearts of our citizens, and that is through public engagement. Public engagement describes the different ways in which we We involve the public in the different activities and to explain to them the benefits of innovation and research. And it's by definition a two-way process. You know, it's not just us going about telling people what we do, but in the course of the interaction, we hope that we will be able to also elicit the needs, scope, the research problems, and provide more responsive solutions to the public's issues and concern. It plays a crucial role in research and development, especially for publicly funded initiatives, such as, of course, the one that we use in PCIEERD. Public engagement is our way of ensuring that our primary funders, the Filipino people, are aware of the scientific endeavors and take part in doing science. However, public engagement in science face various challenges in the Philippines. As many as the islands that we have, we see a fragmented approach in communicating science and engaging the public. We see various departments conduct, of course, their own R&Ds and their own information and communication units. So the public perception of science now, borders on low level of consciousness to even apathy, which can be regarded as a social issue rather than a technological gap. To date, the coverage on science and technology news have increased, yet it is still presented as a trivial manner. So therefore, we see here an opportunity to bring science closer to the people by providing opportunities to provide support and platform for public engagement. Let me tell you a bit of something of what we already have for us to bank on and to start on. We provided support for the development of first interactive science exhibits to promote our initiatives in a creative and engaging way. We believe that through these exhibits, we are able to reach out and make researchers accessible to more Filipinos. So we hope that once we go out again and visit museums, you will find these exhibits and marvel at our Filipino ingenuity. So it's not just about featuring basic science concepts that are featured in our museums, but also the ones that are, products of Filipino ingenuity. We also upgraded our facilities and exhibits because, we'd like to go to the grassroots because we like to influence and nurture the youth in their appreciations in the science that their Filipinos had made. We also engage the public through new, novel, or exciting social media platforms like TikTok. In this new platform, we delivered to the public high-quality and fun videos on science, the conduct of Tech Talk live streams that featured Pinoy scientists and workshops on how to optimize the use of these platforms for science communication. We even implemented a contest that showcased how creative and resourceful Filipinos are. And that through these challenges, common household items were created, creatively used to develop nifty innovation. So would you believe that we even drawn a total of, I don't know if this is a good number, 85.3 million views for 1,424 videos. So we also have the Tech Talk live stream series where we featured scientists and researchers from PCIEERD-supported projects to share their innovations and accomplishments in a fun and engaging way. They are joined by known TikTok edu-creators from various sectors and industries who also share their insights and topics. We are, of course, also intensifying our public engagement this year with a suite of different events and activities that cater to our different stakeholders. I've already mentioned the CBOL. I already mentioned the Innovate Punas event that we will be having towards the end of this month and more lined up until the end of the year. We also have our webinar series for technology transfer, for startups, for technology business incubators, and other preparatory activities in preparation for the research and development call for proposals next year. Overall, these strategies feed into the science communications for innovation roadmap that we have drawn out from this year and to about 20 years down the horizon. We hope that by enriching this field and giving it proper attention and applying a multifaceted approach to science communication, public engagement in science and technology would no longer be a societal problems. So on behalf of the men and women of PCIEERD, we welcome everyone for joining us today and for continuing to explore ways to champion science communication. We hope that everyone will learn something new to communicate science to the people as we challenge everyone not only to innovate and embrace new mediums and technologies to reach out to our fellow Filipinos. Thank you at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you very much, Executive Director Paringit, for the warm welcome, and of course for sharing the different programs of the DOST PCIEERD, including its interventions and initiatives for public engagement. Kicking off this event is DOST's Undersecretary for Research and Development, Dr. Rowena Cristina Guevara. Dr. Guevara is seconded from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, where she is Professor 12 at the Electrical and Electronics Engineering Institute, specializing in speech and audio signal processing, time frequency analysis and synthesis, and artificial intelligence. She was the youngest and the first female dean of the UP College of Engineering and was executive director of the UP National Engineering Center from 2004 to 2010. Prior to her appointment as Undersecretary of the DOST, she served as the executive director of the DOST PCIEERD from July 2012 to 2015. Fortunately, Yusek Guevara will be able to join us this morning, so she'll be delivering a speech via a recorded video. So ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause for Rowena Cristina L. Guevara.
Department of Science and Technology Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, DOST PCIEERD Executive Director Enrico C. Paringit, DOST PCIEERD Deputy Department of Science and Technology Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, DOST PCIEERD Executive Director Enrico C. Paringit, DOST PCIEERD Deputy Executive Director Nina Lisa Escorial, project leaders and science communication fellows from the DOST supported projects, colleagues from the DOST, guests, ladies and gentlemen, magandang agham po sa ating lahat. The Department of Science and Technology is honored to officially kick off the Innovations in Public Engagement Conference, the first event in the month-long celebration of the 12th anniversary of the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, or DOST PCIEERD. We congratulate DOST PCIEERD for working hard in the past 12 years to successfully deliver groundbreaking accomplishments in the 21 sectors under Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technologies. A big part of this success can be attributed to the public, our number one stakeholder, as it is our goal to put the needs of Filipinos first. Over the years, the public has shared and communicated their woes, experiences, and brilliant ideas. These have inspired Filipino scientists, researchers, and engineers to delve into research and figure out solutions to society's pressing problems. Eventually, after the research project, the results are communicated to the public so that they will learn about the value and benefits that they can gain from science and technology. Today, we celebrate the role of public engagement in spurring and refining existing innovations to elevate our way of living. Public engagement is a critical instrument in bringing openness and transparency in decision-making around science and technology. In fact, continuous dialogue with the public increases public trust and acceptability of new and emerging technologies and builds public support for policies and regulations related to science and technology. DOST, as a premier government agency that leads and directs the Philippines' scientific and technological efforts, will remain committed to engaging with the public to ensure that all Filipinos not only see where their taxes go, but also help them understand that their efforts to communicate and partner with us contribute to nation building. We enjoin everyone to listen and learn more about the public engagement strategies implemented by our brilliant scientists, researchers, and engineers who are featured in this event. It is our hope that these initiatives will inspire all of you today to be part of DOST's research and development process and actively participate in our public engagement initiatives such as our campaigns and virtual events on social media and physical events. We look forward to hearing from you and we enjoin you to enjoy the rest of the conference. Maraming salamat po at muli magandang agham po sa ating lahat.
Head of DOST's Planning Services, appointed as Director of the Technology Application and Promotion Institute, worked as Undersecretary for Scientific and Technological Services, and since 2016 as the DOST's Secretary. At the same time, he entered DOST. He was a part-time professor at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Throughout the years, he rose up the ranks and became chair of the UP's Department of Industrial Engineering and Operations Research, full-time industrial engineering professor, director of UP's Small Scale Industries, and vice president of the UP's Systems Planning and Development. All these while also holding key roles in different organizations such as the Congressional Commission on Science, Technology, and Engineering in 2008, and chairman of the United Nations Commission on Science and Technology for Development in 2011. Unfortunately, he can't be with us today, so let us welcome virtually the DOST Secretary, Professor Fortunato T. Dela Peña.
Senator Lauren Legarda, DOST Undersecretary Rowena Cristina Guevara, PCIEERD Executive Director Enrico Paringit, PCIEERD Deputy Executive Director Nina Lisa Escorial, colleagues from the Department of Science and Technology, partners and friends, good morning. On behalf of the Department of Science and Technology, we thank you for joining us at today's conference. We thank PCIEERD for putting the spotlight on public engagement in enhancing science, technology, and innovation in the country. As public servants, it is imperative that we remain transparent and accountable to the people. We do this by maintaining an open-door policy to the public, allowing our citizens to engage us in every step of the way. At the height of our pandemic experience, DOST opened a pathway of delivering science news to the people through the DOST report. It has been broadcast 116 times already. In this weekly show, we showcase the various accomplishments, the various technologies and services that our citizens can avail from DOST. This show has become a bridge for us to reach out to a greater number of people. We have also published books about science in different areas. For example, we have the Science for Change, we have the Science for Innovation, we have Science for Human Resource Development, and others which actually can explain to our people the different services we have towards using science and technology and innovations for development. We hope that through the different initiatives of DOST and PCIEERD, we can have more meaningful connections with our citizens. DOST will remain as a vanguard of public engagement and champion the voice of our people. Send us your ideas, your dreams, your challenges, and let us together find a way to solve this through science, technology, and innovation. We urge our researchers, scientists, and engineers to take on the challenge as well to connect with our people, as it is our duty to communicate what we do and ensure that we are understood and appreciated. I wish everyone well, and congratulations to DOST PCIEERD for this event. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Once again, a big round of applause to our Secretary Fortunato de la Peña. Maraming salamat, Secretary Boy. Now to shed more light on innovations in public engagement, let me introduce our keynote speaker. 4 terms, Senator Legarda has authored many laws aimed at improving the lives of Filipinos and promoting inclusive, sustainable, and resilient development. Among the numerous laws that she authored and sponsored for the advancement of science and technology in the country are the Department of Information and Communications Act, or RA 10844, the Pag-asa Modernization Act, or RA 10692, the Philippine Innovation Act, or the RA 11293, and the Magna Carta for Scientists, Engineers, and Researchers, or the RA 11312. A cum laude graduate of the University of the Philippines, the National Defense College of the Philippines top-notcher, and graduate of the Armed Forces of the Philippines Command and General Staff College, Senator Legarda is a reserve officer of the Philippine Air Force with the rank of full colonel. She was also conferred the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, by the University of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you Senator Lauren Legarda. Big round of applause, please.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Mayad nga aga kaninyong tanan pero wala yatang antikenyo dito. Good morning to all of you in this new normal. Apologize, but maybe not, for wearing sneakers. I'm still not used to wearing leather shoes or high heels as the others are. I'm still in pandemic mode in terms of dressing, but happy to face you on your, can I take this out so that the view from that camera will be better? Sorry, always a producer in mind. Tanggalin na lang to. Yeah. Thank you. Yan. And there's another, someone that lost her glasses. Okay. So good morning to all of you. I'm so happy that we had an animated conversation. Are we on Facebook Live? Yes, I think we should be on Facebook Live because I want people to see beyond the 4 walls of this hall today, the convergence of bright minds and ideas of scientists and researchers. And we had an animated conversation in our table with PCIEERD Executive Director Enrico Paringit and Deputy Executive Director Engineer Nina Liza Escorial and all the officers of PCIEERD. They asked me, yung tela, tropical fabric law. Sabi ko, bata pa akong senador na yan, 1998 yan, napasa yan, first term ko, I authored that. Okay. Innovation Act, principal author ako niyan, third term ko yan, napasa ko noong 2019, but it's not yet being implemented. So, as I return to the Senate now, I will ensure that the Innovation Act and the two agencies of government that are mandated to implement it, NEDA and DTI, must know that there is such a law, must fund it. We should see in the 2023 NEP, National Expenditure Program, if it's funded. And if it's not, I am certain to do a Senate amendment to the GAA for 2023. Because what are we debating and writing good legislation if we are not funding it? And innovation is the way of today and tomorrow. You cannot completely or totally ignore the Philippine Innovation Act. And I'm so proud to tell you that this is not a refiled bill. Pinag-isipan, pinaghirapan. The output of APEC, and I had a very brilliant consultant, Commissioner Maceda, who's now with ERC, who helped me and my office draft that original bill from the outputs of all agencies involved when we hosted APEC, 2000, long ago, several years ago, before the pandemic. And finally, it was enacted into law on my third term in 2019. And I returned to the Senate now as the most senior senator on my fourth term starting July 1. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, Filipino people. I'm so excited to return to my job. It's as if it's my first job, really. So just like 21-year-olds who graduated from college, excited for their first job, believe me, even if you're past 60, you can have the same energy and passion and discipline and dedication when you love your job. And I love my job. I love to serve the Filipino people. I love to be in the midst of brilliant minds, researchers, scientists, inventors, those who can really help us not just craft policy, but to implement laws for the betterment of our people. And there is no better way than to make all our projects and programs and policies research-based and science-based. So my warmest greetings to the Department of Science and Technology, to all of you here today. I am grateful for this opportunity to speak before you as you celebrate your 12th year as a council. You have chosen as this year's theme, empowering the Filipino through innovative engagement. Bagay na bagay sa ating 3 taon ng batas na hindi pa pinapatupad. Kasi pandemya, lalo na dahil pandemya, na kailangan ipatupad at i-implement at mapondohan ang Innovation Act. Indeed, it will be innovation, research and development, and the knowledge economy that will empower each and every Filipino as we recover from the challenges of the last few years. In my more than 2 decades of public service, I've come to realize that public policy, laws and regulations can only be effective if we involve the local community or the stakeholders in all phases of its development and implementation. This is what you call in your slides, public engagement. First, that laws are informed and guided by the coming together of individuals, groups, communities, and stakeholders. Second, that the government engages in information dissemination. We must be able to translate our policies, our speeches, our laws into simple language and technology for our people to benefit. And third, that the laws are responsive and adaptive to the needs of our nation. Only then are the laws able to truly address the issues at hand, whether it be for health and social services, climate change adaptation and mitigation, or education and rural livelihoods. During my visits to areas around the country, for a long time, since my years as a journalist, producer, and my decades as a senator, and my 3 years as one-term representative of Antique, I've witnessed the creativity and innovation of our countrymen. But not only this, I've also seen how, when given the right knowledge, tools, or technology, Filipinos are able to add value and benefit to their craft, their businesses, and their lives. I am the principal author of Republic Act number 11293, the Philippine Innovation Act. And the law aims to foster innovation in the country as a vital component of national development and sustainable economic growth. These are inspiring objectives, but we can only give the law teeth, muscle, if we push for its effective implementation. We need to be able to utilize the provisions of this act so that it effectively addresses the pressing needs of various sectors, particularly our micro, small, and medium enterprises law, MSMEs, another law I authored this time in my second term in 2007. Again, we need public engagement, and the most effective means is do so at the local level, where local officials meet with the community. In my home province of Antique, we were able to link the DOST and the SUC, University of Antique, using DOST's Community Empowerment for Science and Technology, CEST. We were able to establish livelihood support hubs in UA campuses and technology-based barangay economic enterprises around the province. In fact, DOST says, whenever I would mention this, many do not even realize that there is such a program. Perhaps it was not really adequately funded until I became chairman of the Committee on Finance for 5 years. This project has generated employment and entrepreneurial opportunities, increased the productivity level of municipalities, and even curbed the problem of malnutrition. By coordinating and leveraging on other government programs, I was able to encourage and sustain local MSMEs in Antique. Again, it was innovation that helped the Bagtasan Loom Weavers Association in Bugasong, yung mga gumagawa ng suot kong ito sa barangay. The Malabor Abaca Piña Weavers Association, the Tibiao Active Weavers and Knotters Association, the Ati Bukidnon Tribal Organization in Libertad, improve their products and sustain their businesses. We were able to do so because we heard the voices of the micro-entrepreneurs. We asked them about the challenges they faced. We crafted policy based on their collective recommendations. I encourage the DOST to adopt the tenets and the spirit of the law to encourage creative thinking and creative innovation in pursuit of competitiveness. I also urge you to ensure that projects being funded, such as the One Town, One Product, OTOP, I will refile that bill, and shared services facilities, the implementing program of my MSME law of DTI, the community empowerment through science and technology, the MSME program of DOST, and the small enterprise technology upgrading program set up, which I funded also during my term in the Senate of DOST. We make sure that all of these and more are utilized well. I would also like to emphasize the need for innovation to address the climate crisis. Tackling the climate emergency will require innovation in many areas, one of which we already discussed briefly, and the bill will be shared by PCIEERD to me, Spectrum Education Bill. I hope, yes, you have it ready for DRR communications. So design, finance, partnerships, philanthropy, international cooperation, all of these areas, innovation is at the center. I've made it my task to call on all agencies of government to align their budgets towards ecosystem restoration, nature-based solutions to the climate emergency. What is urgently needed is framework legislation that is innovative, science-based, and sustainable, even regenerative, to allow Filipinos to protect themselves, their livelihood, and communities from the devastating impacts of natural disasters. Even Surigao del Norte and Dinagat Islands, even Del Carmen, one of the 9 municipalities in Surigao Island, which is home to one of the largest mangrove forests in the Philippines and home to our Climate Field School, a beneficiary of the People Survival Fund, another law which I principally authored as an amendment to the Climate Change Act. They were affected by Typhoon Odette, but I believe that there were mangrove areas that were spared because of the presence of mangroves, but still devastated. So we need all of these science-based programs based on innovation to spare us from the devastating impacts of natural hazards. We can do this foremost at the local level, where simple local adaptation measures can reduce disaster risks and spell the difference. As they say, all climate action is local. Just like politics, all politics is local. But I don't want to talk about politics. We just came from a grueling campaign. We must focus on climate action. In fact, innovation must be made local. Innovation can be translated in the different languages that we have so that it can be more understandable, understood by the different ethno-linguistic groups. They're the ones who know most about the landscape, the situation, their needs. And this kind of knowledge, integrated appropriately into decision-making, helps ensure that public policy decisions are optimal for the community and best fit current conditions and needs. I hope to follow a building with nature approach as we move towards a shift in paradigm from fighting nature, fighting against nature, to working with and alongside natural processes. Palaging titibag ng bundok tapos semento. Palaging gagawa ng mga harang na malalaking mamahalin na puro semento. Tapos kasi binuwag ang mga mangroves. That's not the way. We must build with nature. And so we need researchers, scientists. We need technological innovation and policy support, such as incentives, greater market demand, and public and private investment. Lastly, science and innovation will play an indispensable role in ensuring that Filipinos do not go hungry. Our farmers and fisher folks are suffering. Why do we have to import fish? Tumatalo ng isda sa Antiquan, dami-dami. So, but another story altogether. Energy prices. The cost of farming inputs have skyrocketed. Why do you have to import fertilizers? I do my own compost at home. Perhaps you can also help me through your research, encourage our farming communities to do their own compost. But actually, it's a no-brainer for me because I do my own compost from food waste because I believe in zero waste. But there are innovative approaches to production, such as localized, integrated, and regenerative production systems. Our scientists, alongside farmers and indigenous communities, can find ways to increase yield through natural, indigenous, and science-based solutions. There are also climate and disaster-resilient technologies that could benefit our food producers. We can develop efficient transport and logistics systems to link farms to markets. We can provide them with innovative, affordable, and adequate financing. We should make the SB Corp under DTI, the ACPC under DA, and many other financing programs of government easier, faster, more accessible to the people who need it most. Research, technology, science, and ecosystem approaches can be game changers for the millions of food producers. There needs to be stronger convergence among government agencies and LGUs, collaboration with the private sector, civil society, or citizens. This will be essential as we brace for the impacts of the global food crisis and the effects on our country. I've narrated a few examples of the creative ways we can put a premium on innovation, public engagement, and pursue convergence with other institutions to add greater value to existing government programs. Together, let us empower the Filipino through innovative engagement. Let us create an ecosystem that facilitates and supports innovation and entrepreneurial growth. So if it was a tropical fabric law in 1998 in my first term and the MSME law in 2007 in my second term and the Innovation Act at the end of my third term, it will be perhaps enhanced DRR law through Spectrum, DRR communications on my fourth term, and enhance a tropical fabric law by including upcycling, adaptive reuse, even in architecture, and much more. But I am a policymaker, and I'm inherently a researcher. I want to deal and to work with scientists, with brilliant minds, with innovators and inventors. And I find everyone that I need in this room today. I hope you can be my pro bono consultants as I navigate my next 6 years and beyond in the Senate. I want to continue enhancing the policies I already enacted into law, ensuring that they are funded. It is not enough. We don't stop there. Ensuring that the funding is not wasted, to cut the system's loss and to shortcut processes while abiding by COA audit procedures, by measuring the before and the after. We can't just dump equipment from DTI SSF and see how the people benefit from this equipment and don't shepherd them and train them. We must be able to have the measuring sticks on how we're able to see how lives have changed after we have enacted these policies and given them the programs and the projects and the tools to improve their lives. So there's much to be done. The food crisis, food security. Help me help the incoming administration and everyone in the public and private sector deal with this issue. The climate crisis. This has been a global issue for so long. Finally, during pandemic, people understand it more and believe me more. And the issue of 1.5 degrees Celsius. Third, innovation in every aspect of our lives, whether it is food or climate, and MSMEs to provide jobs for the more than 4.5 million unemployed and the more underemployed. We will be able to hurdle this inflationary challenges, the global economic crisis and the climate crisis and the continuing pandemic, even if it's a recovery. All of these we can do together because we already have the laws and we have the funds. It is not true that government is poor. I was chairman of finance for 5 years. We have the resources. We must be able to cut the system's loss and the bleeding in many sectors and ensure that the resources collected from taxpayers' money is really utilized for the benefit of programs that will provide food and jobs to our people. And this can be done only if we have innovation, if we focus on science, research, and development. And I hope that you can help an incoming fourth-term senator to do all this. Maraming salamat, isang lunti ang Pilipinas sa ating lahat.
Thank you, Senator Loren, for joining us today and sharing your time and expertise as part of the 12th anniversary. I would like to invite Dr. Pringit and Engineer Escorial to join Senator Loren for a photo opportunity on stage.
Have joined them.
And now let's proceed with the presentations. Let's welcome the public engagement exemplars of the Philippines. First in the roster is Dr. Maria Antonia Tachuling. She's a professor at the Institute of Civil Engineering and one of the project leaders of the IM4 Manila Bay program. Dr. Tachuling will share how her team has engaged with the different communities as they find ways to mitigate solid waste disposal in the Manila Bay area. Please welcome Dr.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for PCIEERD for inviting us to share our experience in public engagement through our program called I Am for Manila Bay. So we'd like to, I Am for Manila Bay is composed of 4 projects and I'm going to share with you the experience of the 3 of them. So wish me luck. Just sino pa po ba yung timekeeper ko? Okay, just tell me if I have to stop. Okay, so I Am for Manila Bay stands for Integrated Mapping, Monitoring, Modeling, and Management System for Manila Bay and linked environments. This is a 2-year project which was just recently concluded. We have 4 projects. Project 1 is IWASTO. It stands for Integrated Waste Analysis, Survey and Technological Options. So ako po yung project leader. Project 2 is Mappable, Development of Integrated Mapping, Monitoring, and Analytical Network System for Manila Bay and linked environments. Siya po yung nakalista sa program. He is also the program leader. That's Dr. Ariel Blanco, also from a professor from Department of Geodetic Engineering from UP, but now seconded with the Philippine Space Agency. Project 3 is a Charted Dream, Management of Dredged Material, Characterization, Treatment, and Disposal, led by Dr. Denver Pangayaw. Hello, sir, if you are here. Hello, good morning po. Nando si Dr. Pangayaw. And Project 4 is entitled eSmart, Ecosystem Modeling and Material Transport Analysis for the Rehabilitation of Manila Bay, led by Dr. Eugene C. Herrera, also from the Institute of Civil Engineering of UP. By the way, Dr. Denver Pangayaw is from DOST ITDI. So next slide, please. So this is the framework that we used regarding the current problem in the rehabilitation of Manila Bay. So starting from a status of degraded water quality, we want to improve the water quality. So the dots inside are the main sources of pollution that we have identified. So these are from the wastewater, dredged materials, pathogens, endocrine disrupting chemicals, and the solid wastes. So our projects would characterize treatment, is looking into the characterization of these pollutants, treatment, utilization, and disposal. Also to detect and assess risks. Also look at scenario. We build scenarios and evaluate the measures that we have identified, the intervention measures, and then employ also watershed modeling and analysis, hydrodynamic and material transport modeling and analysis. And so all of this, we are mapping, monitoring, and analyzing watersheds, tributaries, and also the bay water quality. So this is the framework that we used and for our 4 projects. Now, if we take the definition from the American Association for the Advancement of Science, what does it say regarding public engagement? It says that public engagement with science describes intentional, meaningful interactions that provide opportunities for mutual learning between scientists and the public. So how did we engage the public innovatively in our program, no? In I Am for Manila Bay? So we conducted webinars, workshops, and stakeholder consultations. And then we employed citizen science. And then we were active in social media. We had media engagements and also face-to-face directly with the community. And also we put up websites for our projects. So here are our activities. So after this, it would be mostly photos of our activities. We launched our program 2 years ago. Our original idea was to launch it in a cruise along Manila Bay, but unfortunately the pandemic happened. So we did it online. And then we had this a year later, almost a year later, we presented our initial findings and assessment from the I Am for Manila Bay program. And we were able to invite the different stakeholders, including the very popular Mayor Vico Soto. So it was very important. I think Dr. Paringit emphasized it, that to engage the public, it's a two-way thing. We need to get their feedback also. In that way, we are able to improve our scope, the way we do things. We were also featured by DOST TV. That is, I think, a good way of popularizing science. So our projects were individually featured in your TV station. So I will show now the activities for each project. For Project Iwasto, so this is regarding solid waste management. We want to develop integrated solid waste information and technology management system. It also aims to set up appropriate waste utilization technologies to process biodegradable and plastic wastes in selected communities. So we use the technologies developed by ITDI. We conducted webinars regarding this, the type of the utilization of the technologies for the general public. So first is we had management of biodegradable wastes. I would say there's a huge interest regarding this. And next slide, please. We also, so this is also the webinar regarding solid waste management amidst COVID-19. Next slide. We were going to deploy the waste technology, so we had to ensure that the communities first accepted it. So we actually had a long process of choosing the communities where to deploy the technologies. So we conducted focus group discussions even before the technology deployment, like getting to know the community in a deeper way. We conducted workshops and the trainings, the technical trainings. Next slide, please. And then we developed also an information system on solid waste management, and we had consultations with the stakeholders, the national government agencies. And this one is, we also have policy recommendations, specifically regarding the 10-year solid waste management plan. So we had prior consultations, and then finally we were able to present to the executive committee of the National Waste Management Commission we presented our proposal for the proposed changes, and they are going to deliberate on it. So we just had the meeting on June 9th. Next slide, please. We've had to formalize the agreements with the communities. So this is our MOA signing with partner communities. That's from the University of the Philippines side, and with the barangays. That's Chancellor Nemenzo and Dean Manegdeg of the College of Engineering. And then finally, our culminating activity, we presented our results in a live event, a face-to-face event where we invited all our collaborators, especially the barangays, and also the the LGUs, the NGAs, like DILG and DENR. So we are active in social media. Please like us. Please like our Facebook page. Next slide, please. So these are just the general knowledge that we wanted to share to the public. So it's important that we present it in a way that is palatable to the public, that's easily understood and interesting. Next slide. So this is our stats. Next slide, please. Okay, now I go to Project Mappable. This aims to develop and deploy an integrated system for mapping and monitoring the water quality of Manila Bay and linked systems, including major tributary rivers, using geospatial technologies and citizen science. Now, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Jomer Medina and Ella Tino from Project Mappable, in case you have questions. Okay, they have... So this one, they are observing the Earth through remote sensing and citizen science. There. So if you can download the app, they developed the app Masdan, where you can input. You'll see information regarding algal bloom, fish kills, water pollution, solid waste issues. So this is the implementation of citizen science, and they have the LGUs and the environmental monitoring agencies as their interface. And here they have close collaboration between communities and government instrumentalities in monitoring and managing our environment. Download nyo rin po, Masdan. So they launched it last year in March. Next slide, please. And so they also presented with the DENR, and DNR NCR, MBCMO is already using the system, and there's going to be a workshop to be conducted in July. And then it has also been adopted by the Laguna State Polytechnic University, Los Baños, and partner LGUs and agencies. And then they also conducted LGU participatory mapping orientation. Next, please. And then they conducted training on the use of Masdan platforms, mappable dashboard, water quality mapping, and land cover mapping. So these are the trainings. And then they had a closing webinar. So these are the social media posts that are available. So it was quite active in putting out social media posts there. These are also the stats. Okay, coming soon. Tapos na po yung project pero nagtatrabaho pa rin po kami. So coming soon, they will release a compilation of all maps, findings, and IEC materials it produced during its implementation. Next, we go to Project eSmart. So I'd like to acknowledge Jean Euclid de la Cruz and Jonathan Serrano. Sorry, and there they are in that table. So they are project staff, research staff of Project eSmart. So the objective is to streamline solution interventions for the rehabilitation of Manila Bay through hydrodynamic and material transport analysis of the integrated Manila Bay, Pasig River, Laguna Lake, and surrounding watershed system using numerical modeling analysis. So siguro if we look at the title, it sounds so highfalutin, no, but they were able to make it something that can be appreciated by the public. So with this is the framework that was used. So it was very important that consultations and engagement with the public was done. Next. So this is also their this is a sampling of their well-curated social media posts. So including the page performance and how the series of educational materials that were posted, how it performed, how it attracted the audience. So this they have a website. I think they have a short. Eto na ba yun, Rhoda? Not yet. So, okay. So here's a very brief video of how the website works. I hope you can also visit the website. I hope it works. There's a video there. Ayaw ba? Okay, sorry. So maybe I'd like to invite you to visit the website. There, if you can see, esmart.nhrc.upd.edu.ph. So it's a very good website. And so they also conducted stakeholder consultations. Next slide, please. Workshop series with MBCO and LLDA, and even a short course with Faith College. And they even have a learning management system for the trainings, no, using Google Classroom. It's called eSmart Academy. Next slide, please. I think this is the, yeah, so this is, okay, just to show you the website. I hope it works this time. Shy talaga. Okay lang, Rods. We can skip. we can skip this. So these are their, please also visit all our Facebook pages. We're quite active there. So these are the information, like for knowledge purposes. Next slide. Yan. So there are those regarding subbasins, regarding the SMART series, what if scenarios. So this project would also show us how Manila Bay is going to be affected with different developments or infrastructure that will be built. Next slide, please. Yan. So lots of information that are being shared there. So what if? So this is their reach also. Okay. So this is my last slide to conclude. I would like to share with you what are the major takeaways to keep the public engaged. First, it's very important to have a communication specialist in the team. It's our first time, it's my first time as a project leader or as someone involved in a DOST project to hire a full-time communication specialist. Before, we did not pay much attention to it. And next is we should establish a good relationship with the stakeholders. They are very important. As I've said, they provide the necessary inputs to what we are doing, the necessary feedback. Baka tayo bilib na bilib sa ginagawa natin, but we really need to know what's happening on the ground. And so related to that, engagement should be mutual and not one way. We should listen to what they are saying. No? They're also valuable partners in our projects. Ito medyo na-mention ko na we should share information in a way that is palatable to the public. Kumbaga hindi yung tayo lang nag-uusap, but to the general public, it's very important for them to appreciate or to learn about what we are doing. And finally, we have to maximize the capabilities of digital platforms. It is able to reach a wider audience. They don't have to travel far to be there in a physical way, not to join our activities. So again, by the way, before I end, I'd like to acknowledge also my team members from Iwasto, Rodaline Ramos, and also Darwin Eugenio over there. So thank you so much to PCIEERD. Thank you.
Once again, a warm of applause to Dr. Tachuling. Thank you very much, Dr. Tachuling, for sharing the I Am for Manila Bay program. We'll be hearing more from Dr. Tachuling later during the panel discussion. Before I introduce our next speaker, I would just like to inform everyone that this afternoon we have another event. It's called the Academe and Industry Pitching Conference. So if you're interested to participate and listen to our selected researchers pitching their technologies, I would highly encourage everyone to stay. That's at 1 p.m. this afternoon after lunch. All right, so our second speaker is Forester Jennifer Conda of the DOST Forest Products Research and Development Institute, or the FPRDI. She is one of the Dr. Aralyn Quintos. She is one of the project staff of the Bamboo Musical Instruments Research and Development Program. So she will be discussing how they engage with the indigenous communities in the conduct of their research. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ms. Jennifer Conda.
So, good morning po sa ating lahat. So, yan po. What I'm going to present is about the Bamboo Musical Instrument Research and Development Program. This program started way back in 2019, and it has 4 components, project components. But for today's presentation, I will focus on Project 1, or on documentation of Philippine Bamboo Musical Instrument, And this project is with collaboration with the National Commission of Indigenous People and IP communities in different places or areas in the countries. So next please. Next slide. Okay. R&D with the indigenous people. So when we talk, pag napapag-uusapan po natin ang indigenous people, some of the researchers are hesitant to do R&D with indigenous people. For why? Because ang unang tanong, is it possible or doable to engage IP in our R&D? Second, it can be done on time, mga ating R&D. Next, does it need much resources? Or can we secure permit? Mahirap ba mag-secure ng permit from NCIP to engage IP in our R&D? And lastly, are the indigenous people cooperative in our proposed project? So, Bamboo Musical Instrument Project 1 is more on documentation of Philippine BMIs. It aims to identify the bamboo species used in making bamboo musical instrument, document the playing and making of those BMIs, and also we study value chain analysis, who are the stakeholders and the players in the industry, and the ethnology and kinship mapping, which is studied by UP College of Ethnomusicology. So for a brief discussion about the project accomplishment. So first, we were able to identify 12 species of bamboo used in BMI makings, and the output of this is one handbook for the BMIs. And also, we were able to digitize bamboo herbarium specimen that will be available in the website. And this one is very important. We were able to secure 5 certificates of precondition and validation certificate from these indigenous people. And we were able to launch last year the BMI website. So if you want to see kung ano po yung content ng aming website, all of the accomplishment and publications will be launched in the website. Just visit https://phbmi.com.ph. For the 12 species that were identified used in bamboo musical instrument, we have here Kawayan tinik or Bambusa spinosa, the Kawayan kiling, Bambusa vulgaris, Baito or yung Cytocloa hirsuta, giant bamboo, Dendrocalamus asper, bayog, Dendrocalamus marillianus, the Primbibambusa holsfidi or the alas or lupa. We have also here Kayali, Gigantocloa ater, Dobolo, Gigantocloa laevis, the Japanese bamboo, Pilostachys edulis, green buho, Sisostachium brachylodum, anus, Sisostachium lima, and yung buho, Sisostachium lumampaw. So all of these mga bamboo species na na-identify po namin, ang aming resource person here are the IP communities and also the commercial makers that we interviewed and become part of the projects or our collaborators. So for the other accomplishment, we have identified 38 BMIs from the 5 IP communities, which are yung Bagobo tribes in Davao, Kalinga tribes in Lubuagan, Kalinga, Majukayang tribes in Mountain Province, the Tibuli tribe in Lemsnolon, South Cotabato, and Lake Cebu, and lastly, Talaandig from Bukidnon. So for the output of this documentation of the making and playing of those BMIs, you can visit or we will provide a copy of the compendium, and 4 ABPs will be uploaded in the websites and 2 brochures. Also, the kinship mapping and also yung lesson plans aligned with K-12 curriculum and rehearsal plans for bamboo music ensembles will be available through UPCE in their coffee table books and teaching modules, volume 1 and 2. So yun po, isa po dun sa magandang output ng bamboo musical instrument is yung pinaka-output ng BMI will be provided to all DepEd schools in the country for them to align po kasi yan sa K-12, so they will use the modules. Next. So these are the example of the bamboo musical instrument that were documented. Sobrang dami po niya, but we just show some of this. The palakpak kaodak on the right side from the Bagobo Tagabawa tribe. We have Shludoy and Tononggong of the Tibuli tribe from Lemsnolam, South Cotabato. The Libu from Kalinga tribe, Lubuagan tribe or from Lubuagan Kalinga, and also the Unat from the Majukayong tribe in Mountain Province, and lastly, Asa-Asa Kagik Manok. So the descriptions, the names, the local names, and other relevant information will be available in BMI website. Okay. For the challenges, ano po ba ang nakaharap ng project na to? As I mentioned, the project started 2019 and who knows na magkakameron tayo ng pandemic ng March 2020. Nasa start pa lang ng implementation, nandiyan na yung mga challenges. So alam natin, involving IP communities, sobrang mahirap po ang sabi nga. Pero ano ba yung kinaharap muna ng projects? Here, first, pandemic. Second, what is the other problems? Travel restrictions. Naka-lockdown tayo. Next, weather. Napakahirap ng weather. Ang hirap ng collection. Ang hirap ng interview. Next, internet access. Dahil naka-lockdown po tayo, we cannot go do field survey and documentation and interview those indigenous people. Anong ginawa ng project to come up with this accomplishment? Next, communication. Napakahirap po ng communication in some area kasi wala silang signal. How do we communicate with these indigenous people? Of course, with the help of NCIP. And lastly, the release of budget. As we all know, we are all government office for all the government agencies here. Alam natin, from the first year of our year, yung budget ay ibabalik pa lang o i-release pa lang. So sometimes meron tayong problem with the release of budget. So how do we come up o paano namin na-overcome yung project na yan o paano kami naka-deliver ng aming mga expected outputs? With the help of National Commission on Indigenous People, we will able to secure permit. We do Zoom para po magawa namin yung AO ng NCIP, AO 2020-12, wherein yung indigenous knowledge ay dapat i-transfer and customary laws. So, how are we able to secure yung permit? Nakikipagpalitan po kami ng documents with the NCIP and with the IP, and we ask permission with these indigenous people through Zoom. So, how do we experience collaboration with the IPs? Sabi nila, they are not cooperative. But I'm telling you po, R&D with the IPs, ma-experience nyo na napakabait nila and they can communicate with us and they are willing to do R&D with us researchers. So what are the learnings and opportunities of this project? So first, working with the indigenous people is great experience. And next, IP communities are open for R&D. Next, securing FPIC permit in shorter time is possible with proper coordination and catch-up plan is necessary in every R&D. So, ang una pong tanong ko kanina is that, balikan po natin yung tanong nung una. With working with R&D in indigenous people, now, with this accomplishment that we preserve and we're able to secure permit, I would like to ask ladies and gentlemen, if it is possible or doable to do R&D with IP. Ano po ba? Nakagawa po ba natin yun or not? Yes, the answer is yes. Next question is, can be done on time or not? It's a yes and it's a no. So one of the challenge is when you involve IP in your R&D, in your work plan, please include the duration of IP application or securing permit. So yun po yung lesson learned from our project. You have to incorporate it with your work plan, at least 1 year. So, but it can be, and it is possible to finish your project on time. Next, needed much resources. What is the answer? Do we need resources when we involve IP communities? Anyone? Yes or no? Yes, because po yung ating partnership with the NCIP is hindi po siya naka-plan from NCIP. So we have to include also in our budgetary requirements yung application ng NCIP and also yung cost of involving IP communities. and cost of travel, the budgetary requirements, the food representation, and anything else. But there is a budget for this R&D. Next. Securing permit is difficult. From 2019 up to 2021, we were able to secure 5 permits. Now the question, is it difficult to secure permit? Yes or no? Yes, mahirap. Actually, based on our experience, kung hindi mo alam yung proseso ng AO on how to apply or secure permit from NCIP to access those indigenous people, the answer is yes. But if you study and obey the law and coordinate with NCIP and IPs, it is possible to secure permit easily. Next. Next po, are they cooperative? Yes or no? Based on my presentation. Yes, kasi nakapag-secure kami, nakapag-document kami ng kanilang making and playing, and we were able na makitira sa kanila at ma-interview at makipag-usap sa kanila and ask some of the possible R&D na gusto nilang gawin because they are open for R&D. So researchers here, industry, please let us try to make R&D or collab with these indigenous people because they are willing to work with us. Don't be hesitant. Kagaya ng lagi ko pong naririnig, when it involves IP communities, hindi na po nagpro-prosper ang R&D proposals. But we encourage R&D or yung mga researchers to do R&D studies and projects for this. Next. So yun po, thank you for listening. Hope nakapag-encourage ako to involve IP communities in our R&D.
Thank you so much, Ms. Conda, for that presentation. And now our last presenter is Dr. Mylene Cayetano from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She is the head of the Environmental Pollution Studies Laboratory of the Institute of Environmental Science and Meteorology, College of Science, University of the Philippines, Diliman. She isn't here with us today, but she does have a video that will be played. So please give a round of applause for her.
Magandang araw! Ako si Dr. Mylene J. Cayetano, Associate Professor ng University of the Philippines, Diliman, Institute of Environmental Science and Meteorology. Program Leader ng Synergistic Capacity Advancement in the Management of Laguna Lake, programa ng DOST PCIEERD sa pakikipagtulungan ng Laguna Lake Development Authority. I was tasked to tell the success story on how Program Scale was able to engage a line agency such as the Laguna Lake Development Authority into engaging heavily and investing heavily in the delivery of the outputs of the PCIEERD-funded program from 2017 to 2020. LLDA, referring to their website, was organized by virtue of Republic Act number 4850 as a quasi-government agency with regulatory and proprietary functions. Through Presidential Decree number 813 in 1975 and Executive Order 927 in 1983, the LLDA's powers and functions were further strengthened to include environmental protection and jurisdiction over the lake basin's surface water. In 1993, through Executive Order 149, the administrative supervision over LLDA was transferred from the Office of the President to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or the DNR. The LLDA has a mandate to create public policies that would be beneficial in the better management and protection of Laguna de Bai. Public policies, although commonly embodied in constitutions, legislative acts, and judicial decisions, may also be created by an executive order, bureaucratic regulation, and/or provincial, city, municipal, or barangay ordinance. As a project proponent of a PCIEERD-funded project, we have undergone these processes, the processes of project proposal submission, until its eventual funding. So dumaan din po ang program scale sa technical panel evaluation, sa PMT, EXECOM, GC, until finally program scale was approved. And among all the expanded 4 Ps, I believe the program scale's strength was on the policy output. So sa palagay ko po, mataas yung aming ranking pagdating sa policy output during the proposal evaluation ng program scale. Policy output, in the sense of grading a research proposal, may not necessarily have to be a political policy tangible. Most often, the PCIEERD may require policy briefs, at the least. In the case of program scale, we have produced 3 policy briefs. But despite this minimum requirement, program scale has a handful of intangibles. Thanks to our collaborator, the Laguna Lake Development Authority, which serves as a conduit for public policies. For a brief background, program scale was initiated because of the long-standing interest of the Laguna Lake Development Authority to better understand the emerging contaminants in the Laguna de Bai environment that are mostly influenced by human activities. This was because for the past couple of decades, reports on persistent organic pollutants in water, heavy metals in fish, and microbial contaminants have been picked up by mainstream media and has affected the Laguna de Bai community, which then imparted a negative reputation on its commodity products, livelihood, and in the overall management of Laguna Lake. So, how did the proponents of program scale manage to actively engage a government agency such as the Laguna Lake Development Authority? Well, first, we need the buy-in of the collaborating agency from the beginning of the program until its conclusion. In the case of LLDA, being the mandated agency in the management and protection of the Laguna de Bai water quality management area, LLDA specifically sought a working collaborative approach with program scale proponents
This was made possible by bringing the LLDA from the beginning of the program. So the LLDA is already part of the conceptualization of the proposal defense. So they attended and sit down with us during the NBank evaluation, defense, etc., until the program scales approval for funding. The second point is collaborative approach in the implementation of the program activities. During the implementation of the program, the LLDA significantly contributed by sharing resources, expertise, and network of contacts. For example, Dr. Pitias Espino, project leader of EDAM, and Dr. Windel Rivera, project leader of MSP, benefited with the shared resources provided by the LLDA. Their team of researchers boarded the sampling boat and the field vehicle of LLDA in the collection of the necessary environmental samples. Dr. Maylene Cayetano, yours truly, project leader of Trace Fish, were allowed to use the equipment of the LLDA's Environmental Laboratory and Research Division for the determination of trace elements in the fish flesh samples. We also benefited by boarding the sampling vehicle of the LLDA during our regular field sampling. Program scale were actively connected by LLDA in its network of stakeholders, ranging from the top management or the board of directors to the LGUs, the fisher folks, and the community leaders. Quarterly meetings were participated in by top managers and technical officers of the LLDA. And lastly, program scale includes capacity building on the part of LLDA. Quoting from the retired LLDA administrator and the continuing management consultant, Ms. Adelina Santos Borja, there are 6 pillars of integrated lake basin management and governance for effective management response. First, the institution. To manage the lake and its benefit of all lake basin resources and its uses, there needs to be an institution. This can be the government agency, the mandated agency, the local government, or even the small units such as the barangay. The second institution, the second pillar is policies. Policies to govern people's use of lake resources and their impacts on lakes. The third pillar is the stakeholder involvement. So since the people and the community are central to lake basin management, the stakeholders needs to be in the center of the pillar. The fourth is the technological possibilities and its limitations, which is what the DOST is offering and is doing in its part. Fifth is the knowledge both of a traditional and scientific nature, which are both valuable, equally valuable. And the last pillar is sustainable finances to fund all the above activities, which leads me to my third point, sustaining the collaboration post-PCIEERD funding. Minsan, kailangan na maglabas ng policy ng isang administrator to add to their milestones, pero para sa scientist, kulang pa yung information or hindi pa sapat yung data. Minsan naman, sa dami ng natutuklasan ng scientist, matapos mahanap ang sagot sa science problem ng lake, for example, or makapag-recommend ng policy, meron na namang panibagong problema na matutuklasan. Ang isa sa layunin ng program scale ay kahit tapos na ang programa, ay kaya pa rin masustain ang capacity ng LLDA. Which leads me to my fourth and last point. Be involved in the ways forward. The good news are: number 1, Nicer Lakes is being implemented. Yours truly is the project leader of a model rehabilitation of Laguna de Bae tributary river, Taytay River, Maningning Creek Subbasin. With that, thank you, PCIEERD, for inviting Program Scale to share our example on how to actively engage a line agency in innovative management and in strengthening the science to policy nexus towards a better environmental management for the Filipino people. Happy anniversary and mabuhay kayo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maylene Cayetano, for your presentation about the SCALE program. Now I would like to invite our previous speakers, Dr. Tachuling and Forrester Conda, to join us on the stage for a quick panel discussion. I would also like to invite our Executive Director, Dr. Paringit, to join us on stage. So while they're setting up, I'll just make some few announcements. So we're giving social media giveaways. So for our live audiences here in Dusit Thani, share the happenings in our anniversary celebration today through your social media accounts and have a chance to win DOST PCIEERD merchandise. So all you need to do is just share some photos and videos with engaging and creative caption, either to your Facebook account, Instagram, or Twitter, and tag DOST PCIEERD with the hashtag PCIEERD@12. Follow our social media pages and make sure that your post is visible to the public. You can share as many as you want. So we'll be giving giveaways to a total of 12 winners, which will be selected and will be announced later. Also, I think you can see that we have a walking photo booth. So we have a photographer inside this room and they'll be coming to your table. So if you wish to have a photo printed like this, so they'll be approaching you. So you don't need to go to the back area for a photo shoot. So with that, again, I would like to call back to the stage Dr. Tachuling, Forrester Conda, Executive Director Paringit, and of course, my lovely co-host, Hannah, for a quick panel discussion. Dr. Maylene Cayetano is also able to join us virtually, right?
Yes, hello, good morning. I'm live from Laguna Lake.
All right, so let's just do this very quick. Hannah, can you share our first question to...
Yes, hello. So our first question is, I will address it to you. What do you think is the role of public engagement in doing research and development?
Okay, so what is the role of public engagement in doing R&D? So when you're doing R&D, napaka-importante. It's very important that you involve peoples around you or the community and mga stakeholders, because ang bawat R&D will not work and will not be successful without any public engagement. Thank you po.
Thank you, Forrester Conda. Now, my next question is for ED Paringit. Sir Eric, what do you think are the major challenges in communicating research and development outputs to the public?
Thank you, Edward. I already mentioned earlier about the numerous challenges. One is, of course, outreach. No? Are we effectively reaching out to stakeholders for the respective research projects and proposals that we are conducting or preparing? That's one. Second is if we continue to sustain the momentum for their engagement in the various stages of the conduct of the project. You know, sometimes we initially engage the public in some kind of consultation for purposes of scoping projects. But when it comes to implementation, we forget all about how they have actually contributed in making your proposal fine-tuned in a way
as to become more viable, no? And then we then re-engage them towards the end, or worse, I would say after the research project. And that's not the, I would like to think that's not really the way to go. The way to go is to engage them every step of your project. It should take place at all stages of the research process, including the early stages through identification of the priorities and strategies, midstream, no, when you start, conducting your research, and downstream. That's when you already also engage them by identifying the public's benefit and understanding of the impacts of your scientific output. So we we encourage everyone to please practice this kind of public engagement and every step of the way. Sometimes we often say, this is for the farmers, this is for the fisher folks, this is for the workers, these are for the industries that we wanted to support. But we need to see you with them, no, alongside while you're working on the many wonderful, fantastic projects that you are doing, so that in the end there will be a greater degree of acceptance. That's one. The second criteria maybe is a greater degree of viability for the kinds of innovations that you have. And I think the third criteria will be at least awareness or knowledge of what you wanted to do, not only with the key stakeholders, no, those that could directly benefit from your work, but also the public itself, no, so that because we also need to make the people understand what we are doing, no, not only in terms of the scientific output. Sometimes we think that publications will be enough to tide us through with the project, but it's also important to let the public understand what we're doing, because after all, it came from people's money, no? So this, we put across in this celebration or in this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paringit. So I think my two main insights from that answer is that one, the main two challenges is about reach, and the other one is momentum and sustaining the momentum. So I think Dr. Paringit's message was very clear that that every one of us, not just researchers, but even the public, should also be engaged in communicating the results of outputs of our research, so that we will be able to reach more people, and so that they will be able also to benefit from the impact of the research and development activities that are being funded by the DOST. Hannah?
Yes. Sorry, I'm just nodding. I'm learning a lot here. I forgot that I should be hosting. So now I will ask, maybe first we'll head to Zoom first and ask Ms. Cayetano a question. I will ask her the same one. What do you think is the role of public engagement in doing research and development?
Dr. Cayetano, were you able to hear that question?
Yes. Hannah is asking about the role of public engagement in doing R&D. Well, the role of public engagement is for our R&D to be known. Kasi diba, usually we scientists, we work on silo or nandun lang tayo sa four corners of our laboratory, and after the project has ended, what's next? Ano na yung, may nakaalam ba kung ano yung ginawa natin? So with the amount of social media reach right now, availability of social media networks, andito na yung opportunity, digital world na tayo. So let's grab this opportunity para mas lumawak yung reach at mas maraming makakaalam ng ating mga research and outputs, because our science will touch many lives. Our science will improve the lives of our communities. And yun yung important doon. So public engagement, ang role nila is for our research, for our science to be known. And I'm also sorry for not being there physically, because I'm actually living the, walking my talk on public engagement, because right now, after program scale, UP Diliman has been tapped to be part of the action planning stakeholders of the Laguna de Bai watershed management. So ito na yung ways forward. So yung public engagement is now working after program scale, and I'm experiencing the benefits of it now. And thank you again, PCIEERD, for paving the way for this to happen. Program scale to public engagement. Back
Thank
to you,
you.
Hannah.
Thank you, Dr. Cayetano, and it's nice to see you somewhere.
Laguna Lake in the
now
background. Yes,
so
this is
she mentioned
Laguna
that
Lake.
she's walking the talk now. She's now doing some public engagements. That's the reason why she can join us today. So thank you, Dr. Cayetano. Now the next question is for Dr. Tachuling. How can the science community embrace public engagement as part of doing research and development in the country?
I think to start with, it's very good that PCIEERD itself is promoting it. They are supporting it even in the line item budgets. They see the significance. So I think that's a major push to include public engagement as we do R&D. And I think even in the curriculum or in the formal education, if we can emphasize that, because we conduct a lot of research in the universities, so we should be conscious in the formal institutions to put significance in that aspect.
Dr. Pangit, you might want to add to that. My question was, how can the science community embrace public engagement as part of doing research and development?
How can the science community embrace public engagement? Well, I already mentioned earlier that it should not be an afterthought, no? Hindi ito yung pinag-iisipan na I need to engage the public pala, or PCIEERD asked me to actually have an audience with stakeholders like, government agencies or even the public. You should have a conscious effort in making sure that your stakeholders are involved every step of the way. If you were doing an industry type of research, you should have already have firms or a few of the firms that have related work be involved. No? Siguro one aspect that people would ask is, would it be critical because there's some intellectual property involved that could possibly be divulged during the stage of your project? That could be the case, no? But it's always you always have that choice. Number two is that you always have the means, no, of also means of communicating with them without compromising the IP aspects of your work. And if you think you have issues on this, you can always consult with us so that you will be properly guided. For example, we have in our website, in the PCIEERD website, the list of all the research projects that have been supported all the way from 2010. Nandyan po yung mga yung research projects. And you know what we do, and I think you have already encountered this, we put out a very brief description of your research project, the title, your name, maybe the funding that we put in it. But we ask you anyway if you're okay with the content, no? And we're conscious of the fact that there's maybe some IP aspects of it that you do not want to be put out publicly. So we say, is this okay with you? Also because we also wanted to balance with making sure the public understands what you're doing, no? So sometimes we're not really after the scientific content, because we know that there are avenues for that. There are platforms for that. You have your publications, you have your the scientific publications do that for you. But in aspects of the public, they're interested in where their money is going. Investors are interested in the technologies that they could have possible use in their own business in industry processes. And this could also have use for educators and those that are developing curriculum, because of course new technologies beget new knowledge, and they're also interested in getting some of the information that you generated out of your own research to teach, of course, up and coming researchers, innovators, and even the general public. So that's really our intention in making sure we have we have covered all aspects of public engagement. Thank you, Edward.
Thank you, Edi Paringit. My next question will be addressed. Hannah, sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna ask you some questions. Since you're a beauty queen and also advocating science and technology, what do you think is the role of beauty queens like you in engaging the public to or advocating science and technology? So maybe some reactions or thoughts about this kinds of event.
Yes, well, I was actually I was thinking about this in my mind that if it wasn't for my pageant last year where I mentioned that we needed to invest in science and technology, I wouldn't be here right now. And if it wasn't for my fans who kept on sharing it and saying, oh, she's our queen scientist, I wouldn't really be known by DOST. So I'm so grateful that some of my fans are even watching right now. They're sharing it and they're telling me that they're interested to take up science courses because of me. So for those who don't know, I am a graduate of forensic science. I graduated in Australia. And although I am doing beauty pageants now, I still really try to share to the community, my relatives, that science really is what we need to invest in to prevent another pandemic, to progress in so many ways in our nation. And as I continue to Miss International later this year, I'm definitely going to be talking about science. And I am sure that all of my fans and everyone watching will be sharing that. And yeah, if it's not for them sharing it, watching, researching what's with science, I don't think anyone would believe that beauty queens have this kind of platform. So I'm so glad that, I've been given this chance right now. And I don't know if I really answered your question right.
Yeah. That was a winning answer. And thank you, Hannah, for being with us today. And we really appreciate you being one of our ambassadors in science and technology. And I think this is the first time that we have someone or a beauty queen advocating science and technology. So thank you so much. As much as you wanted to extend the discussion, I think we're pressed for time. So with that, I would like to thank our speakers, Forrester Conda, Dr. Tachiling, of course, Dr. Cayetano, who's in Manila or in Laguna Bay or somewhere. And of course, to Executive Director Paringit. Before we close this, maybe we can do one quick photo opportunity. So sino magpipicture? Sanay ako sa virtual, sasabihin ko sana on my cue. All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. A big round of applause once again to our first set of speakers. Now moving on. I hope you guys were energized from that discussion. Supposedly we'll be doing a 10-minute break, but we're pressed for time, so we're gonna continue and move on to our next segment. Our next set of speakers are part of the DOST PCIEERD's new program, which is the Science Communication Fellowship Program. So this program is empowering 40 scientists, researchers, and communications specialists from the PCIEERD completed supported projects to better promote their innovations and research. Hannah, can you join me in introducing them?
Sorry, I didn't want to be in the way of the quiz. Yes, so these fellows are undergoing a series of mentoring activities that will introduce the concepts of science communication, popularization techniques, and skills in developing communications materials. Today, they will showcase and apply what they have learned so far. To give us a brief introduction about the SciComm Fellows Program, please welcome the Science Communication Department Chair of the College of Development Communication, University of the Philippines, Los Baños, Dr. Elaine Larena.
All right, let's give her a round of applause. Okay, so she'll be joining us this morning. So let's just play the recorded video. It's from Dr. Larena.
The application of science is crucial in our everyday lives, and communication plays an integral role in making scientific discoveries and technological innovations appreciated and accessible to more Filipinos. It is from this premise that the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, and the University of the Philippines Los Baños College of Development Communication through its Department of Science Communication forged a partnership to implement the Science Communication Fellowship Program. The Science Communication Fellowship is an online mentorship program that aims to equip researchers and science communicators in popularizing their research results. The 5-month fellowship started in March, with 38 fellows from 19 projects who are expected to complete the program by July this year. These fellows do their self-paced study of 4 modules covering 13 lessons on basic concepts in science communication, communicating science in different media platforms, data visualization techniques, public engagement, and dealing with the media. Synchronous sessions are also held to discuss key points in the lessons and their assessment activities, or to present their module outputs. To further enhance their learning experience, mentors are assigned to each fellow to guide them in understanding the lessons and in accomplishing their module outputs. The mentors are science communication professors and practitioners from the UPLB College of Development Communication and DOST PCIEERD partners. It is the aim of the mentorship program that the fellows would value the relevance of science communication in their work, appreciate the roles of science and technology research and innovation in nation building, and apply the different principles and techniques they learned in popularizing science through media platforms and in engaging the public to stir interest in science.
Let's give another big round of applause to Dr. Larena for that video message. All right, so without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker, who is Mr. Nicole Jean Mercado from the Department of Environment, Mines, and Geosciences Bureau. He is part of the Climate Responsive Karst Management for Sustainable Tourism in the Philippines, or the Field Karst Program. Influence of surface and subsurface processes in karst degradation and its impacts on sustainable tourism project. Let's give a warm of applause to Mr. Nicole Jean Mercado.
Thank you so much. Hello. To our distinguished guests, PCIEERD officers headed by Dr. Enrico Paringit, our fellow scientists, science communicators, friends, good morning. Again, my name is Nicole John Mercado, you can call me Nico, and I am a Science Research Specialist 1 of PhilCars Project 1, entitled Influence of Surface and Subsurface Processes in Karst Degradation and its Impacts on Sustainable Tourism. I bet you find our title or our research a bit difficult to understand because really karst is a new topic in our country. And I'm honored today to introduce to you our project and also to share to you our learnings from the Science Communication Fellowship Program. Next, please. According to the DNR Mines and Geosciences Bureau, the Philippines, or most of the Philippines, is underlain by karst landscapes. And when we say karst, it pertains to landscapes formed by the dissolution of limestones combined with different geological and geomorphological processes such as uplift, subsidence, and other tectonic events. Visually, we see karst are mostly expressed as magnificent white beaches, majestic caves, conical hills, and rugged towers. And due to their peculiarity and eye-catching scenery, these areas are mostly considered as top tourist destinations in our country. Best examples are that of Palawan, Siargao, Rizal, Bohol, and most of all, our famous beach, Boracay. And beyond their aesthetics, karst also have cultural and historical significance. They host unique biodiversity, and most importantly, they serve as reservoir to our groundwater. Next. Yeah, next, please. However, it must also be noted that while karst is beautiful, it is also one of the most fragile environments in the world because of its complex geological and hydrogeological characteristics. And mindless human activities, such as irresponsible tourism, among others, may lead to unfortunate events that includes groundwater contamination and biodiversity loss. Next, please. Further degradation of those areas may eventually lead to karst hazard, which can affect not only the livelihoods of our fellow men, but also may take away lives. And we have witnessed a lot of this, or a number of this, during the 2013 Bohol earthquake, where a lot of sinkhole collapsed. Also, during the successive landslides in Cebu for 2017 and 2018, and of course, the closure and flooding in Boracay in 2018 and 2019. These incidents emphasize the need for the national government through the DOT and the DNR and other concerned LGUs to draft science-based policies and guidelines that will set limitations and maintain our areas in terms of carrying capacities and other tourism activities in these key karst areas in our country. Next. And this is why our program, Climate Responsive Karst Management for Sustainable Tourism in the Philippines, or PhilKarst program, was instituted last 2020. As a whole, this program will be the first comprehensive study on the impacts of the karst natural terrain and processes to the management plan of tourism areas in our country. Furthermore, it is our aim that the methodologies and strategic approach that we are currently employing in this research will be adopted in maintaining other key tourism areas in the Philippines. This 2-year program, we are currently on our 2nd year now, is implemented by the Mines and Geosciences Bureau Central Office with its program leader, the Chief of the Lands Geological Survey Division, Ms. Liza Socorro Manzano. Next. And under the program, we have 2-component project. I'm under project 1, entitled Influence of Surface and Subsurface Processes in Karst Degradation and its Impact on Sustainable Tourism. Our primary objective is to develop standard methodology to aid in the management of karst tourism areas, specifically through scientific approach. Next, please. Our 3 study areas right now is situated in El Nido, Palawan, and the 2 municipalities of General Luna and Del Carmen in Siargao Island, Surigao del Norte. We have chosen these areas based on their contrasting geological age. Palawan is relatively older than Siargao. Tectonic activity, we know that Palawan experiences lesser earthquakes than that of Siargao Island or Surigao del Norte, and also climate. Our methodology, next, involves 3 parts or 3 components, namely geological investigation, geomorphological, and hydrogeological investigations. For geological investigation, we conduct fieldworks to assess the area. We collect rock samples and send them to the laboratory for paleontological and petrographic analysis. For geomorphological and hydrogeological surveys, We employ geophysical techniques such as ground-penetrating radar and georesistivity surveys to enable subsurface imaging of the ground in the said areas. Lastly, we also collect water samples in these areas to assess them of chemicals and gather information about the condition of the groundwater in our study sites. Our expected outputs include inventory of landforms or features such as sinkholes, caves, car springs, and other carbonate rock samples, physiochemical and trace element analysis of water samples, geological, hydrogeological, and geomorphological maps. All these three will then be an input to our ultimate output, which is a course management plan that will be delivered or turned over to the concerned LGUs as an input to their policies for their tourism areas. Now, joining with all this data and with all this highly technical information, the challenge now lies on how we will be able to communicate and engage effectively with our stakeholders, particularly the local government units, the tourism-related businesses, and even the tourists that visit these tourist areas. And this is actually our primary motivation in joining the Science Communication Fellowship Program of DOST PCIEERD and the UPLB College of Development Communication. Presently, we know that geological research, particularly on karst, is relatively new in the country. And despite having prevalent karst landscape, we know little about these landscapes. Many, even our LGUs, are still unaware about the nature and the processes involved in their formation. And it is our hope that by joining SCFP, we will know the best way on how to laymanize and communicate our technical results to the respective LGUs and our specified audience. Moving forward with almost 1.5 months of joining the program, my major takeaway includes, of course, the core theories of science communication that includes the importance of being specific in your targeted audience and also knowing the levels of SciComm so that we will be able to plan and carry out well our initiatives accordingly from the technical level to popular level. Likewise, we also learned the different media platforms which we can use to propagate our results, including broadcasts, print, and social media. Lastly, we were also trained to have an eye with regards to data visualization. We learned the recommended and effective ways of visualizing our technical data through graphs, icons, and info cards, which you can see that are displayed outside. Now, to end, as geologists, we were always trained to be experts when it comes to rocks, earthquakes, volcanoes. However, we know little or we are trained very little in terms of communication. And so the challenge again always lies on how to echo this scientific information to the general public in a way that they will be able to understand it well. And I think PCIEERD and the UP CDC in bridging this gap by launching this program, the Science Communication Fellowship Program. Again, thank you and mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you, Mr. Mercado. Thank you, Mr. Mercado. So our next presenter is Mr. Aquila Christian Esmeralda, also from DENR MGB. He is also part of the PhilCarst program, but under the project Integrated Characterization, Quantitative Assessment, and Statistical Modeling for Geologic Hazards in Karst Landscapes in the Philippines, Input to Management Plans for Sustainable Tourism. Let's please welcome Mr. Esmeralda.
Good day to our honored guests and everyone in attendance. My name is Aquila Esmeralda, Science Research Specialist of the PhilCarst program and a Fellow of the SciComm Fellowship Program. And I will be introducing the PhilCars program Project 2, entitled The Integrated Characterization, Quantitative Assessment, and Statistical Modeling for Geologic Hazards in Karst Landscapes in the Philippines. Inputs to Management Plans for Sustainable Tourism. Next. So, as Mr. Mercado, vulnerable karst terrain. So consequently, karst-related hazards pose a threat to the infrastructure, communities, and the local economy, especially for municipalities who rely heavily on tourism for their income. As it is, there is a lack of understanding regarding the dynamics of karst hazards in karst landscapes. And so there is a need to characterize these hazards in order to understand what steps we need to take moving forward. Next, please. Okay. So the project aims to quantify the effects of different environmental and anthropogenic factors in relation to karst hazard occurrence and absence. We want to conduct the quantitative assessment and modeling of these hazards to be used for spatial planning. Next slide. So here's how we try to achieve this. So we conducted fieldworks centered around geohazard mapping and assessment with the aim of establishing karst hazard inventories to be used in our models. After completing these hazard inventories, we then conducted statistical analysis on selected factors in order to establish positive and negative correlations between the factors and the hazard occurrence. So next slides, please. So here we have debris slides that we observed in El Nido in the barangay of Corong-Corong. Next. Here we have inferred sinkholes that we identified through remote sensing. And here, another part of our inventory are the cave openings in the cliff, in this case, in the cliffs in the island of Imorige. And finally, we also observed flood points, in this case, the accumulation of garbage in the drainage systems, also in Barangay Corong-Corong. So here are the statistical analysis that we used for this methodology. So we employed weights of evidence methodology. So here we have different factors and the positive or negative correlations that they have with the occurrence of landslides. So at different phases of the project, we expect to produce several outputs. So first are the karst hazard inventories, as we can see on the left. So here we detailed all the observations we have of each of the hazards, including subsidence, floods, and landslides. Next, we input these, sorry, can you go back? Next, we input these inventories into the statistical models that we developed in order to find out which factors influence the absence or presence of karst hazards. We then generate geohazard maps for each of the target areas of El Nido, Del Carmen, and General Luna. And finally, we compile all of the documentation in the project to produce a reproducible methodology for the assessment of geohazards across the whole nation. So next slide, please. A lot of our expected outputs involve data which needs to be communicated to our target beneficiaries. So these beneficiaries mainly consist of government agencies who are going to be integrating our findings into their planning and policies. This demands a level of technicality during communication in the form of various types of reports. At the same time, we also want to find a way to communicate our data and results to the locals in our study area, especially regarding topics that directly affect them, such as geohazard safety. We wanted to learn how to effectively communicate scientific concepts which are otherwise complex and uninteresting if you don't have a science background. We wanted to learn how to present our data and findings in an eye-catching and interesting way such that non-experts can fully appreciate what we want to convey. So next slide, please. So it's been a few months since the start of the Science Communication Fellowship Program. We've honestly learned a lot in this time. We started off with the basic concepts of science communication as well as its history. We learned about the levels of science communication and how each level has a different purpose of communication with varying levels of technicality. We learned about the different types of media through which you convey science and information. We had lectures on different types of communication and how to select the best one depending on your objectives. So for every type of media, be it traditional media such as television shows and radios, to the new and emerging media such as social media platforms, podcasting, and streaming, they all have their advantages and disadvantages. So each one also targets different sizes and varieties of audience. We even had lessons on design and visualization, emphasizing how important presentation and appearance are in communication. The program really made it easy for us to work out what we feel would be the most effective way in conveying what we want to convey. But I think the most important takeaway from our time in the fellowship program so far is how we identify and prioritize our intended audience. Each lesson was structured with the audience at the center. Each little detail or concept was for the sake of helping the audience understand an idea even just a little bit better. It really made us think carefully about what we want our audience to know, why we want them to know, and how we can convey that to them at the most of our abilities. So before joining this program, I thought science communication was simply dumping all the information into a poster or infographic with little regard for whoever happens to see it. After a few months, I can gladly say I know better. So thank you to DOST PCIEERD and the Science and the SciComm Fellowship Program for giving us this opportunity to share our experience, and happy anniversary.
Thank you so much to our fellows. Thank you for being here today. I'd like to invite you back up on stage for a photo opportunity, and Dr. Peringit to join us also for the photo. Yes, you're in the center. This is your moment.
Yeah, I would also like to invite Engineer Escorial to join Dr. Peringit on stage.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are very grateful that you shared your experiences with us. And we are confident that your effort today will inspire more researchers and science communicators to take action and communicate science to Filipinos. Now, to wrap up our event today, please welcome the Deputy Executive Director of DOST PCIEERD, Engineer Escorial.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Isang masayang araw po. And ako po ay malabis na nagpapasalamat sa inyong pagdalo sa aming palatuntunan ngayong araw na to. Diba? Science communication. Susubukan kong magtagalog pero hindi ko alam kung kakayanin ko. So first of all, salamat ulit for being with us today. Nagpapasalamat din po ako sa ating mga speakers for today. So I would like to acknowledge Dr. Tonet Tanchuling, si Dr. Jennifer Conda. Of course, si Dr. Mylene is on, sabi nga, walking her talk. And of course, I would also like to acknowledge our ScienceComm fellows, si Dr. Elaine Larena, Sir Nicole Jean Mercado, and Mr. Aquila Christian Esmeralda. We thank you for sharing your expertise and experiences in engaging with the public to share scientific information and improve existing innovations. Your presentations have underscored the importance of public engagement in the innovation system so that we at the DOST, as one of the major contributors to this, can keep on enhancing our projects and services to bring science even closer to the people. So some of my takeaway from the talk is that, first, you should know your audience so that alam mo kung ano yung level ng knowledge nila. so that you could really come up with, sabi nga ni Dr. Tanchuling, ni Dr. Ma'am Conda, is you could come up with a palatable information, something that they could chew on, something that they could absorb, and something that they could understand. So another takeaway din po is that the engagement should be mutual and not one way. Hindi ho ba sa anong relationship, kailangan talaga dalawa ang nag-uusap at hindi lang isa ang nagsasalita. So yun po yung ibig niyang sabihin kanina. And of course, isang sinasabing hindrances. Grace, bakit ka nagre-react? Isang pang hindrances sinasabi for an engagement is that it's now difficult to talk with your stakeholders, especially if they are the IPs. Pero as experienced by our Bamboo program, what you need to do lang is to know the protocols, know the people that you have to talk to, so that everything could be facilitated and coordinated well. And if you have things like this, dapat alam nyo din daw po kung magkano resources ang kailangan nyo, so that you will not tell to PCIEERD na hindi po namin nagawa because kulang po yung budget for the project. So that's another important takeaway from the talk. And of course, yung level of the science level ng pagsasalita natin, we should also siguro learn how to laymanize yung outing, the way we discuss science. Just a while ago, we are discussing things with Senator Legarda, and she's saying, ayan yung sinasabi ko. Kung ganyan mo sasabihin sa akin, mas maiintindihan ko kasi lemanize siya. Kasi syempre nga, ano nga ba ibig sabihin ng mga terminologies na sinasabi natin? Siguro that's also one way na if we are researchers, we should also think na what if ako yung receiver ng information? Ano dapat yung level of knowledge ko for that type of information? So those are some of my takeaway in your talk this morning. And sabi nga ni Anro, nothing in science has any value to society if it is not communicated. So nasa cabinet lang po natin yan at nasa mga OneDrive natin. So with the outstanding support that we received today, we are confident that more innovations for public engagement will be implemented to further help us foster a culture of collaboration where Filipino citizens are involved in advancing our country's scientific progress. As the Secretary a while ago says, we should remain open and transparent of what we are doing and the results of what we are doing. And as Senator Legarda mentioned a while ago, innovation, R&D, and knowledge economy will empower the Filipino people. So let's remain to be creative thinker and creative innovator. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po sa lahat.
Thank you, Ma'am Nins, for that closing remarks. Again, reminding everyone to answer our feedback form. For those in Zoom, a link will be sent to you. And for those who are here, you can scan the QR code in your name plate. So after you accomplish the feedback form, you can get a souvenir from this program. You just claim it there. So again, I also would like to remind everyone that we'll be giving social media giveaways. So can you take photos from the event today and share it on your Facebook account or Instagram or Twitter account and use the hashtag PCIEERD at 12. So later we'll be announcing our social media giveaway winners. Hannah?
Yes, and please don't forget that we have an event straight after this, which you are very welcome to attend. So please stay here and attend. And please follow our social media pages to keep updated on the schedules of upcoming events and activities.
Again, maraming salamat. Thank you everyone for joining us today. For those who are here physically and for those who have joined us online, maraming salamat. This is Edward Polapigo.
Yes, and I am Hannah Arnold, and we appreciate all of you for helping us empower more Filipinos through innovative engagement.
Stay safe, everyone. Mabuhay. So lunch is ready. So you can all have your lunch. Thank you, Hannah.
Meron pa kaming 3 fellows. Uy, si Joyce! Ito kaming ano, Joyce, ang lilit ka? May face mask daw. Face mask. SFT fellows. Kailangan mo lang ng ano. Dami naman ito ah. May bahay pa si Ryan. Hi! Yeah, thank you. Hello. Paano tayo? SNT fellows, assemble with Hannah. So, ay, nako. Tara. Thank you. This is our representative. Ano ka dito? It's as part of founder, Ryan. So, yeah. SNT fellows, go. Selfie tayo, teka lang, wait lang. Alay, kami po na tita. Kami po na. Selfie lang kami.